There are many things that follow our planet. For example, every year we have meteor showers that streak across the night sky, as the Earth passes through streams of space rock left behind by comets. But scientists suspect something much more substantial may also be hitching a ride along our planet's orbital path. Some astronomers even claim they've seen it, calling them ghostly specters, and they could be up to 9 times wider than the Earth itself. So what could they be? For over 6 decades, researchers have argued over whether or not these things exist. A small number of astronomers insist they've glimpsed these strange objects, which appear only briefly before disappearing from view again. Others say that if they do exist, they are so dim and far away that they are impossible to detect. This video comes from the channel. In it, astronomer Alex McColgan examines one of the oldest mysteries in astronomy. He takes us back to 1959, when the first alleged image of one of these space specters was captured. Back then, an unknown object was spotted dancing around the Earth at Lagrange point 5, or L5. L5 is one of 5 points of gravitational equilibrium along Earth's orbital path, making it an ideal spot for astronomers to set up shop and observe the cosmos. There's just one small problem. It's 150 million miles away. That's about as far out as Pluto is from the Sun. Astronomers have been searching for L5 ever since, but no one has actually seen it. While the search continues, we can take a moment to appreciate how difficult it would be to keep up with all those books and papers being published each year. You might be familiar with Google Scholar, a free tool designed to help you keep track of the latest research. It's exactly what it sounds like, a scholarly version of Google. But unlike Google, Google Scholar isn't always great at organizing your search results. That's where Elicit comes in. Okay, now back to the video. According to some astronomers, the object photographed in 1959 was a rogue planet. These are planets that have been kicked out of their planetary systems by powerful gravitational interactions with other objects. If true, this would suggest that our solar system has quite a few interlopers orbiting the Sun. In 2006, researchers claimed to have discovered yet another phantom object, this time at Lagrange point 4, or L4. This is the 4th known stable region of space along Earth's orbit. To get there, you need to travel 60 million miles ahead of the Earth in its orbit. If you want to hang out there, you'll need to stay vigilant, because L4 is unstable. Over time, objects will drift out of position and either fall into the Sun or get flung out of the solar system entirely. According to simulations run by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, most objects will be ejected from L4 within 5 million years or so. But small objects made of ice and rock called centaurs can linger there for millions of years without getting kicked out. In fact, NASA believes that's what the object spotted in 2006 probably was. The debate surrounding these ghostly specters isn't likely to end anytime soon, even though we still don't know for sure if they exist, let alone what they're made of. Researchers are beginning to narrow down the possibilities. One team of astronomers has even managed to rule out the possibility that these objects are asteroids. They did this by scanning the skies near L5 using a technique known as photometry. Photometry involves taking a series of pictures of a region of space over time to see if any objects are lurking in the background dust clouds. While the Earth travels around the Sun, it does so with a thin cloud of dust and debris in tow, known as the Gegenschein. These dust particles reflect sunlight, allowing us to spot them against the dark backdrop of space. But capturing these faint reflections is tricky business, especially when dealing with objects up to 150 million miles away. In 2013, an international team of astronomers used a combination of 137 images taken between 2009 and 2011 to analyze the brightness of the Gegenschein. A key piece of information we're missing is size. How big are these things anyway? And are they made of rock, gas, or something else entirely? In 2020, a team led by Klemenko Sokolic, an astronomer at the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, put forward some answers. They proposed that these mysterious objects are intermediate in complexity, somewhere between a simple asteroid and an entire planetary system. Using computer models, they found that objects made of gas wouldn't survive the intense radiation environment at L4 and L5, but more complex objects containing heavier elements would stand a better chance. Their model suggested that these bodies could be up to 9 times wider than the Earth and still remain intact. However, they would need to be tightly bound, meaning that they would be made of something more substantial than loose dust or rocks. Sokolic thinks these space ghosts may be hollow spheres composed of extremely light material. Because they'd be less dense than water, they wouldn't sink in the solar wind, a stream of charged particles constantly flowing from the sun. Instead, they would float along the Earth's orbital path, staying hidden in the planet's shadow. The question is, how long would such an object remain intact? According to Sokolic, these hollow shells would only last a few billion years. Eventually, the force of the solar wind would rip them apart. Unfortunately for astronomers, that's about how old the universe is. So if they do exist, we don't have much time to find them. The reason we haven't found these objects already is that they are very faint and very distant. Although they might be bigger than Earth, they are probably very dark. Without any light of their own, they would be hard to distinguish from the background stars and galaxies. Even though these objects are impossible to see with the naked eye, that hasn't stopped people from searching the skies for them. In the early days of astronomy, many observers believed that a planet had to be visible to the naked eye in order to exist. This belief was so widespread that when astronomers began discovering Neptune and Uranus in the mid-1800s, they were reluctant to believe that these new worlds were real. But even if we can't see these objects with the naked eye, that doesn't mean we can't detect them indirectly. That's the idea behind photometry. By measuring how bright a region of space appears at different wavelengths of light, we can learn about the chemical composition of the objects there. Scientists can also measure the amount of gravity an object exerts. If they know the mass of the object, they can also calculate its size. So far, none of these studies have turned up any evidence of the ghost. Spectre theorists, however, argue that the searches have been inconclusive at best and downright wrong at worst. Take, for example, the Gaia spacecraft. Launched by the European Space Agency in 2013, Gaia is tasked with mapping the positions and movements of more than 100 billion stars in our galaxy. One of the main goals of the mission is to create a three-dimensional map of our galactic neighborhood. But according to some researchers, Gaia may have already discovered the elusive ghost specters. In 2018, an article was published in the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics suggesting that certain objects near the Earth's orbit may be hiding in plain sight. The authors pointed out that some of the objects catalogued by Gaia seemed to be drifting out of position at L4 and L5. They argued that these objects weren't asteroids or other small bodies, but rather a new type of Kuiper Belt object. The Kuiper Belt is a vast region of icy bodies beyond the orbit of Neptune. But if these objects really were Kuiper Belt objects, they would have to be moving much faster. A team of Italian astronomers argued that the Gaia study was full of errors. They noted that the apparent motion of the objects could be explained by the way that Gaia collects data. According to the Italians, the objects in question are likely nothing more than asteroids. As for the 1959 photo, well, it was likely a case of mistaken identity. The team concluded that the object in the photo is most likely a rare comet. In other words, the quest for the ghost spectre continues. The truth is, we don't know for sure if there's anything following our planet, let alone what it might look like. According to Alex McColgan, the moon is our only confirmed companion. As he says, the moon is a large and friendly face that follows us around the sun. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the only face. It's possible that there are other bodies orbiting the Earth, just too distant and too faint for us to detect. Perhaps one day soon they'll reveal themselves. Or maybe we'll finally discover that the ghostly specters are nothing but a figment of our imagination. Now you know. Now stay curious.